So, good evening, everybody. We're going to be working on a particular machine on Hackthebox. Um, with this machine, you will learn about local file inclusion as well as simple directory traversal. Now, I'm going to go through this as quick as possible. So, without further ado, let's go on and get started. First things first, anything you learn from this can be dangerous. Do not use this for anything malicious. This is just a learning exercise, and this is in a lab where you do have permission to do this. Again, this is through Hackthebox. So first things first, we know that the machine that we're attacking will be at 10.10.10.194. As you see, the machine is up, alive, and available for attack. So we'll just start with some simple in-map scans. We'll let that run for a couple of moments. At this point, I will go ahead and pause the recording. Okay, so now that the in-map scan is done, what you can see here is that we do have SSH open. It's running OpenSSH 8.2.1 or P1 on Ubuntu 4. We also have it hosting a website. It looks like it's running Apache 2.4.41. And see, we even have a website title called Mega Hosting. Down here further, we see port 8080 is also open, which is an Apache Tomcat server. And then we have, further details on the OS, things like that. So first things first, let's see what is being hosted at that address. So first thing, we'll go ahead, we'll open a web page to that website. And as you see, it does open. It's not too much here. Looks like your simple basic website, but if you notice, it says .htb, which stands for Hackthebox. They do a lot of these with mega hosting as titles, things like that. So if we go and we take a look around, you see that they offer supposed web hosting, co-location, shared hosting, VPS, and dedicated servers. Nothing too fancy. As you see, fake phone number. But there's really nothing here that we can really use. But if you do notice one thing, they say email us here. They're using sales@megahosting.com, but down here they're saying sales@megahosting.htb. So that is something that you should flag and be concerned about when looking at things like this. Another thing you might want to do is take a look at the page source code. When you're going through page source code, you'll want to go through, look at where things are pointing to. As you see, this is pointing to cascading style sheets, basic HTML, and we just keep going through. You see some things like this, like you're using an outdated browser, things like that. Now here's something that's funny and weird to note. If you look at this link for news, right here, it says news, but it points to http://megahosting.htb/news.php ? File equals statement. That is kind of a little bit weird. So let's see what happens. If we go up here to news and we click on that, as you see, it actually redirects us back to my ISP's page. Yeah, I use AT&T, but I'm on fiber. But that's neither here nor there. As you see, it's a DNS error assist, and it goes to att.net. So if we go back, we take a look at this. Let's try something here. So if we go, say, 10.10.10.94, as you see, I've already done this a few times. And we get to this page. Oh, look, they did apparently have some kind of a data breach a while back, and they claim their servers are now more secure. So now that we're back to this, let's try something a little fun here. We're going to try a little bit of directory traversal. We're going to try and get to the etc/passwd. Granted, this says password. Basically, it is not where you'll find users' passwords on a Linux machine at all. So to do a simple directory traversal, we'll just go up a few levels here, or down a few levels, depending on your definition. And as you see, it does load this. So this does tell me that it is susceptible to this type of an attack. So from at this point, we're going to see if we can upload and host, or upload and create a new machine on this to host a reverse connection. We'll also be using netcat for this as our listener. So what you'll see here is I'll go ahead and break out my terminal into two separate terminal windows. And to make this easier, I'm going to get rid of the website behind us. Clear the first terminal. One thing of note that I did forget to check out was going to that port 8080, which is usually a proxy server. In this case, we know it's hosting Tomcat there. So let's see what we get. Oh, look, we get this. And it even tells you down here that we can find some information out about the users. This is the default location where you'll find users on a Tomcat server. Tomcat 9 is actually vulnerable to some things. So let's go ahead and work through that. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and work on the directory traversal part again and see if we can pull up anything through those means before we move on. And as you see, like I said, I've done this before and I've pulled this up, but you notice it loads up a blank page. Nothing there of interest, right? But if you are good enough and you think about it, always do a view your page source. And look what we get here. We get the XML file. Tells us, it's using an encoding UTF-8, Apache, or tomcat.apache.org, basic information. But check this out. We just got a hard-coded username and password. Should never hard code your usernames or your passwords into your XML files or anywhere else on a computer. As you see, it does not take much to find this information. And you see that this person or this user has the admin GUI role name, manager script, things like that. Again, not very secure. Even this password itself is not secure. To tell you the truth, that's one of the first things that, well, besides ABC 123, ABC 123, password, super password, things like that, this will be one of the first ones that they will try in a password list as well. So when you make your secure passwords, don't do anything like this, especially, this common. It's a big no-no. So with that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to hit up Metasploit Venom to create us a Java Shell reverse TCP connection. And one thing you're going to definitely want is your IP for Hackthebox to be able to do this, to make it work right. And if you're using Kali Linux and you're doing this over a virtual machine like I am, you will have to look for that. But generally it's going to be the same on Kali Linux or Paired OS. It should always be TUN0 or Tunnel 0 is what it stands for. And it's going to be the iNet address. And as you see, we do have our moments where we fail at typing things. And there's one more thing that I failed at here. I'm not in the directory I want to be in for this. So I am going to back out of this and go to a directory I need to be in. I tend to keep everything organized. Sometimes it doesn't always work that way. And we'll give this a moment while it creates our reverse shell. And as you see, it has created it here for us. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and start hosting this up. To be able to do this, we will need to use netcat and curl to get this up to the website and back down. And like I said, as you see, there are issues where we do have our errors. As you see here, I should have had this single quote at the end of the line here of reverse underscore shell. Because I didn't, you see it spit back an error. But the second time it went up. So now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and start our netcat listener. And now we have it listening. So what we need to do is go back and get this exploit running. So again, we'll hit it up with curl. So as you see here, our netcat listener did pick up something. We are now connected to the machine. So what we're going to do here is make this more of an interactive shell. It does make things easier. So we're going to force over a bash shell using Python. So now, as you see, we are in the Tomcat server. We are in var lib tomcat 9. That's where this is hosted at. So what we are going to do here is we're going to take a poke around, see if we can find anything interesting, which when we do a listing of files, we find a few directories that could be, interesting to take a look at. So as you see, we do have a XML sheet. There's the Tomcat users XML file, the web XML, policy.d, which is in our directory, a Catalina directory. There's just some things there you could take a look at. But from this, what we're going to do is we're going to go up a file or so, a few directories, I should say. And we're going to take a look in the www directory. This is where, World Wide Web is basically hosted on these kind of servers. Usually the websites, things like that. When you go through these, you can sometimes find some interesting stuff. And if you're wondering, I keep clearing the window just to make it easier to see, as we are kind of working with some limited space here. And as you see in this file directory, we do have another directory called HTML. So let's take a look in there, see what we can find. And we got some assets, flavicon.ico, which is just an icon file. This is what usually makes the little tiny picture here on browsers appear. In this case, the orange star with the black background. And we do have a backup file here, which is kind of weird. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull down this backup file. We're going to see what we can find with it and go from there. And we'll do that using Netcat as well as hosting a few other things here. So in this window up here of my terminal, I'm going to set up another Netcat listener. Now that we have that listening, we have it listening over on port 1234. I just chose, some random port number. So back on this machine, we are going to send that file over to our machine. And as you can tell, I did forget what my IP address was. And as you see, it was able to, connect back. And it just says it got some unknown file. So what we'll do is do an ls in our folder And there we go. We have the backup. So we're going to go in here. We're going to see if we can just open this back up and extract it, see what we can find. And as you see, it does ask us for a password. So now we're going to have to crack that password. And this shouldn't take too long. We'll just use a tool called fcrackzip to be able to crack that. And this, like I said, it shouldn't take too long. It already found the password. Quick and dirty, right? So we'll take the password here and we'll copy it and we'll see what's in that file. And it looks like we got the var folder. It doesn't look like there's too much in here. Basically the same stuff that was there before. Looks like end user license agreement. There's the Flavicon, another logo for Mega Hosting, empty files folder, empty assets. Get a .php file for news. Yeah, nothing here of interest, nothing we can really use. We get the index .php, which is basically going to be for the main homepage itself when you go to it. And as you see, we got .get servers, about company, VPS servers, contact us, things like that. Like I said, this is basically the PHP file for the landing page. That's all they backed up. So there was nothing here of use. So what can we use that password for? Well, let's see what we can find out, shall we? We're going to go up to the root directory here. And as you see, it doesn't seem to be showing us much of anything. So now we're going to have to poke around. And if you're wondering, these directories with the periods in front of them, those are supposed to be hidden. That's what the -a is. It allows you to see hidden files, and we can get into things like that, see what we can find. And as you see, we're in a share folder, not really where I want to be. So we're back here. I had to get my way back to where we need to be. As you can see, We are on the root directory, and we have a few things here to go through. But let's see what we can find in home first. And we found a user called Ash. So let's see if we can change directory into Ash's file and see if we can get anywhere. As you see, permission is denied. But remember, we have this password up here that we never found an actual use for other than for unzipping that file. But some people are lazy and so are hackers. So let's switch user to Ash and see what happens if we try to use that as her password. Or his password. And look at that, we got the user Ash. So now we'll go into Ash's file and we'll do a list, and there's the user or the flag for the capture the flag challenge. This only got you to user. I'm going to stop recording here and we will continue from here to get the root or admin user.